Welcome to the Cryptonomatron, and today I'm doing a review. It's Seele, I think I pronounced that right. It's German for soul. It's an ICO. It is apparently blockchain 4.0, and it's also Superman's secret ICO, or was it? But more about that later. So, welcome to the video. Let's get into the review, and let's see what I think about Seele ICO. So I found this great article by Trey Potter on Medium. I will link to it below as usual. And it highlights a lot of the problems and a lot of the competition that Seele faces. And the competition is going to be your platform, blockchains like Ethereum, EOS, Cardano, etc. Now all have positives and all have negatives. What Seele really want to do is to tackle all those problems, the common problems of blockchain, which are in the main security, scalability and speed obviously, and be the next generation of blockchain systems. Now you can see here the table comparing the different formats, the different blockchain technologies, and we're going from transactions per second from say 7 to 20 that one chain in Ethereum can operate at, up to over 1,000 transactions per second. And then the potential as well is a lot higher. I mean, I think only Cardano can equal Seele in the amount of transactions per second potentially they can handle. So again, it's going to be something that's important going forward, as well as the node scalability as well. Now, if you use I think if you use practical Byzantine fault tolerance as your consensus algorithm, the nodes get overloaded. So you have to address that that issue, and that's what Seele really want to do. So there are other positives and negatives. I won't discuss them, but I'll leave the link to the article below so you can have a look. So we can say that Seele are up against some very stiff competition. All these other platforms that are listed here are already brand name established, so they're going in swinging, and like I said, they're claiming to be the next generation of blockchain technology, which we'll look at in a second. So to highlight just what I was saying, we have the blockchain 1.0, which was obviously Bitcoin, the first one, and that gave us the transaction ledger. Then we moved on to Ethereum, which added the smart contracts to the ledger, giving more use for the actual blockchain technology. And then, of course, moving on to blockchain 3.0, we have some others here. Interesting, Definity as mentioned, Cosmos as well. Those two I'm not overly familiar with. EOS as well mentioned, and the advantages that they have over the previous versions are a better performance, obviously, advanced governance systems, a better mechanism for reaching consensus. They can handle large-scale businesses, unlike some of the others, like Ethereum especially, and they have a founder-mentioned chain here. I'm not sure what that means, and they also have some cross-chain compatibility. And if we move on to blockchain 4.0, which Seele intends to be, they have this heterogeneous forest neural consensus algorithm, computing sharing between on-chain and off-chain, and a potential for 1 million transactions per second. So that just gives you an idea of how they're facing up against the current competition. So problems they want to solve now, and as usual, they're the common ones with all blockchain technology currently. Number one is the inability to scale for large-scale performance. So, 1,000 transactions a second is what Seele claims that their platform is capable of at the current stage, and a potential of 1 million transactions per second. So they want to allow scalability. I think it's one of the main issues, technical scalability anyway, for blockchain going forward. The next issue is an inability for current platforms to support diverse business scenarios. They all have certain limitations, as I explained before. And again, Seele want to address that problem so that they can be universally used rather than just pigeonholed. Number 3, there is an inability to exchange information and share assets across different blockchains. You might have heard the phrase cross-chain being used previously. Well, cross-chain interaction is going to be very important going forward. Other platforms like Lambda and some others have been addressing these issues. So Seele obviously recognise that being an issue as well. And another thing that I garnered from their white paper was current consensus algorithms are not viable longer term. We know that proof of work is inefficient. Proof of stake is efficient, but again, it's not really the solution. And Byzantine fault tolerance may be the way forward. Seele want to apply their own consensus algorithm based on the practical Byzantine fault tolerance mechanism. So we will see if they are able to solve that problem. And again, just to summarize here, scalability, security, and efficiency all remain massive problems, even with other types of ledgers such as Hashgraph, for example. You might have heard mentioned people saying, "Oh, it's better than blockchain, etc., etc." It does still have certain issues. I mean, no technology at the moment is perfect. We're at the embryo stage of blockchain technology here, so obviously we're going to come across problems. And these 3 are the main ones. Security is a problem with, I think, Hashgraph, given the structure of the system. So again, these are all things that Seele want to solve. So the aims are essentially to build a blockchain 4.0, and we can see here with this infographic from the white paper how they intend to improve upon the current systems that are available, in particular EOS and Cosmos. And you can see there, as I mentioned before, blockchain 1.0, Bitcoin obviously, blockchain 2.0 with the introduction of smart contracts came Ethereum, and then blockchain 3.0, which is addressing some of the problems. Performance is getting better, advanced governance now, there's a better consensus algorithm, large-scale business can use them, fundamental chain and cross-chain application also included. But Seele want to take this a little bit further with their own technology. Heterogeneous forest is mentioned, neural consensus algorithm also mentioned, computer sharing between on-chain and off-chain, and potentially 1 million transactions per second on their system. So the easy way to look at the potential and the market for these platforms like Seele is to simply look at CoinMarketCap and assess the market capitalization, which gives you a rough idea of the adoption of each of the platforms. Now, as we can see, there are several platforms in the top 20, top 25, top 30, including the big daddy of them all, Ethereum, second only to Bitcoin in market capitalization, and the most universally used platform for smart contracts. As we can see, almost a $92 billion market capitalization there. The money in this is phenomenal. The potential for Seele is phenomenal. There is a very, very good possibility of it being a top 10 currency or top 10 token platform, I should say, if it gets adopted and if it gets implemented. I mean, we've seen some other, we can scroll down here a little bit. We see Cardano has now cemented its place in the top 10, Neo as well, Qtum, and even Icon there following up behind. There are a lot of platforms in the top 100, and there are a lot of platforms amongst the very, very high echelon tokens, and I don't know if Seele will manage to get up there in the end, but there's certainly the potential for it to do, and that's what we're looking at as investors in ICOs. We want to see how far can this go. You know, if it was just a simple decentralized app or something, you know, you're only going to be limited. When you go into an ICO, you've got to think, what is the potential going forward for this project here? If it's just a dApp, then it's going to be limited in exactly what it can achieve. But platforms certainly have a lot more potential going forward. So yes, the market is massive, but it will all depend on implementation and eventually adoption. So the blockchain they're going to be using is their own blockchain. The tokens from the crowd sale will be initially issued as ERC20 tokens on Ethereum smart contract for, I assume, for the ease of running an ICO using that system. It's a proven model already. The code for the smart contracts is available on GitHub, I notice already. But eventually they will have their own ecosystem, their own blockchain, upon which you'll be able to build decentralized applications and other uses as well. So they are looking at a different method of consensus algorithm, as I mentioned earlier. They are not going to be using proof of work or proof of stake, so there will be no master nodes here. There's no mining as well. The coins cannot be mined. However, by just operating as a node, you will be able to earn tokens, so you can have your computer switched on all the time, act as a node, and you will get rewarded. So the blockchain's going to work on what they call practical Byzantine fault tolerance. This is another consensus algorithm, like proof of work, like proof of stake. But the big advantage that they've got here, or they intend to provide, is that as the amount of nodes increases, as the network grows, then the security and the scalability will increase along with the usage. So it will increase alongside the amount of people using the system. So unlike, for example, Ethereum, which the network gets overloaded when there's too many users and fees go up, this will work differently. They will basically be able to continue scaling and continue providing the same amount of security. In fact, it may even improve speed and improve security as the network grows. So that is the intention, and that is basically, in a nutshell, their competitive advantage for their blockchain. So looking at the tech now, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this, although this is a very technical project. The white paper is very detailed about the technology that they want to provide. And just to sum it up, they're basically going to be a platform on blockchain 4.0, as they claim, that tackles a lot of the problems that are afflicting most current platforms. So just to highlight a couple of things, the first off is the blockchain, obviously, the heterogeneous forest network, as they call it. And how this works basically is they have, or they're going to tackle the problem of bottlenecking and scalability of the current platforms. Now, already there's two different structures of blockchain. There is the single structure, which is basically just your main chain, and you can see the disadvantages of just having that. You're bottlenecking because you reach the maximum transactions per second. And it can't really meet the user demand as well. Obviously, you then have problems with interchain operability, which it can't communicate with other chains, so it's effectively isolated on its own. Then you can see here you have multiple blockchain structures which utilize parallel or even cross-chain swaps. And again, they still have their problems because they're still relying on the main chain. The main chain, again, is just the center and will be subject to bottlenecking as well. And sharing resources cross-chain on multiple chains is also not really the most effective solution. So what Seele have proposed is this forest blockchain structure, as it says here in the white paper. And just to give you an idea of how it works, it's actually sounds very, very clever. It has a meta blockchain, essentially your main chain, which will provide the configuration and scheduling service, and then you will have other subchains running, and they will be divided according to scenarios, different business scenarios, isolation mechanisms, and also performance costs. So the benefit of this heterogeneous forest network is basically you're customizing the blockchain for your own business needs. That means if it's compute intensive, or your requirements are effectively dealt with the mechanism, with the ecosystem that's being provided for you. They also want to introduce this value transport protocol, and that is going to be based on their blockchain technology. And it will basically solve a problem about the transmission between different blockchain networks. At the moment, they say it can't be effectively carried out. Some other chains are trying to implement this as well, or something similar. They want to basically allow other assets on other chains to be discovered easily. So you need a protocol to do that, and that's what they're proposing. The other issue is obviously latency over a network. Now, if you've got distributed amount of nodes across a network, latency over an internet system is obviously going to be a problem. So they are proposing this quick value internet connection. So they will have loads of nodes, and they're aiming for a low latency connection. So the block size can be transmitted better and much faster than it already is with most current systems. One of the other big problems is obviously computer integration, and on the blockchain that's an issue because you don't have anywhere really to store your data. The data cannot readily be stored on a blockchain. It has to be stored somewhere else, like on a hard disk or a distributed network, and they are going to try and solve this problem with a decentralized storage on the internet. And this is quite interesting. Reading through the white paper here, the resources will be defined on chain. There will be a metadata directory as well, so it will you'll be able to find your data wherever it's stored, and then also stored on the internet. And it mentions here this MDDS. So it will use an IPFS-centric storage system to provide a decentralized network, essentially a solution with a directory to find information on the internet, find data on the internet, which is going to be very useful, because that's another big problem that these blockchain platforms have, is that they can't store any data, so they've got to use either a side chain or another platform to store the data. So if this can be done on the same platform, then it's a very important step forward. They are also focused on the ecology, governance if you like, and also the incentive of using their platform. So they are wary and interested in developers coming on board. So they need to attract more, obviously, and they are going to address some of the inherent problems with developing, say for example, dApps on the Ethereum platform, as the example here is given. They list some problems and how they're going to solve those. And again, it will be open to developers. It will be an open source platform, this, so you'll be able to come in and use the different SDKs and everything to build your own dApps on the back of this platform. There will be a development tool as well, so you can develop your own smart contracts called Seele Editor, I believe, and all the features here are going to be implemented. So this is quite interesting. I like how they've got a focus on the developer as well, because I think that's going to be key to the mass adoption of this platform. If the more developers that come on, simply the more successful this project will be. If they struggle to get developers on board, then the usages of this platform are going to be very limited. You can see Ethereum is the most common one, because more and more people are using Solidity now, and hence its popularity has grown exponentially. So as a platform, as a new platform, you need to get developers on board. You need a lot of people working on it, using it, launching dApps on the back of it, because that's the way that you're going to achieve your success. So without spending too much time discussing the ecosystem and the tokenomics here, the token basically will function as the fuel for the blockchain ecosystem. If you act as a node, then you will receive rewards in tokens, as the token will also be used to for transaction fees essentially. And the way that they're going to stop some of the issues with the other systems, such as proof of work and proof of stake, is basically by having as many nodes using the network as possible, each getting small rewards. So there is no masternode system here with people getting larger rewards than others. You'll be encouraged to obviously take part in the ecosystem, having your computer switched on all the time. But the fees will essentially be used to reward your node system for achieving the consensus. So this is a new section. I'm going to include it in every video from now on, but I thought it was especially important to highlight this on this particular project, considering it has already several red flags around it. And I think it's important to discuss the negatives as well as the positives of the project. And this should hopefully put to bed people that are claiming that I get paid for my videos. I do not. So again, you know, if there are any issues, however minor, please post in the comments below. I will always allow discussion on different projects, you know, whether positive or negative. And I feel it's important, if a project does have any red flags, as this one does, to bring them to the viewer's attention. So here we go. Of course, everybody that has been following this project will know that the Telegram admins scammed almost $2 million from users. They basically said there was a private pre-sale going on, and users should private message them for details how to participate. A lot of greedy and impatient people went ahead and sent them Ethereum, and it turned out the admins were either rogue team members scamming, or as Seele claim, they were basically hacked or false admins. Now, whichever side of the fence you're on here, you know, we can't categorically prove anything at the moment. And, you know, in this kind of environment, you can't take anybody at their word. So it's just something to be aware of. But again, it does not bode well for confidence in the project when something like this goes down. To Seele's credit, they did actually say that it would make whole with the users that were scammed in terms of giving them the tokens. And also, they have a few videos that they released with statements on the actual debacle as well. So just something to be aware of. And then, of course, there was this other issue that this address behind the Seele URL indicates that the address has been connected to scams in the past, and that's not good. And then finally, this is apparently Superman's secret ICO. I believe, well, I don't know if it was. If you follow me on Twitter, you know what I think his secret ICO originally was, and the reasons why he did not announce it and then decided to pick Seele. However, the reason I mention this as a red flag is not because Superman has picked it. I mean, you know, I think he's picked it for the reasons he thinks it's going to be successful. You know, I have nothing against Superman. I'm not going to get dragged into battles between different YouTubers and influencers and stuff like that. I never do. This incident has actually discredited him a little bit. There are people now a bit annoyed with him, you know, on his Facebook group and everything else. Like I said, I'm not going to get involved, but I thought it was important just to point out that because he's picked it as a secret ICO, it might be subject to a bit of fudding going on now, and you know, a few problems. So something to bear in mind. On to the token sale now, and the whitelist will be open moments after I upload this video. Probably it's in about 9 hours time from now. So I think this will be oversubscribed, so I think you're going to have to be in there very, very quick to register for the whitelist. So I would, you know, I would suggest that you stand by your computer. Other whitelists of similar projects, similar, you know, with similar popularity, have closed within 10 minutes of being open. So just be aware of that. And apologies to those of you that watch this too late and do not get in, but that's the nature of the beast these days, unfortunately. So the token is 1 billion total supply. The token sale will be broken down into the following distribution. There will be 48.25% for the sale itself, 1.75% for a community airdrop. There will be 7% given to the development team. Early investors and consultants will get 3%. There will be a foundation of 10% for the construction of the ecosystem and community development, and there will be 30% for mining rewards to incentivize people to act as nodes. So unfortunately, we don't have any information on the token prices yet, and that will obviously inhibit me giving it a proper rating at the end of this review. So we wait with bated breath and in anticipation. What is the token price going to be? And then we can establish whether we think it's a good investment or not. So we wait on that, and I will add it obviously in the description or in the comment sections once that information becomes available. There doesn't appear to be a bounty campaign for this project at all, which is unfortunate, but it doesn't need one really. The hype behind this project is fairly substantial already, not least of all thanks to Superman bringing it to everybody's attention as a secret ICO, but it's already got a lot of traction and attention on social media. So no bounty campaign, which is unfortunate, but not really necessary in this case. So now onto the roadmap section, and the important thing to note here, I'm not going to go through each of the stages one by one, but the important thing to note here is the rollout to the public network. The launch will be in Q4 2018, and that is fairly far away, so this won't be a quick flip for investment, unless of course it sells out rapidly and there's quite a lot of demand, and that may well be the case given the interest in this project as it is. They say they're going to launch a minimum viable product in Q1 2018, and there is code available on GitHub at the moment already. Also, code for the smart contract is available on GitHub if I'm not wrong. So they've already gone some way to assuring people they are a legitimate project. There was some people turning around and saying that they were waiting till after the crowd sale to upload the code, because they're a scam project or whatever, and that's not the case. They've actually put some code on GitHub now. So yeah, moving forward, they have quite a structured roadmap, as you can see. Let's take a look at 2019 now. Just scroll down from the white paper, there you go. So they are going to effectively continue right to Q4 2019 with their project. So a long project, an ambitious project, but again, I think with this advanced technology, more advanced technology, they need to be given a little bit of time to be able to implement. So this is the team section, and as usual, I'll just briefly talk about the team. I think it could be stronger, that's my honest opinion about it. I don't think they've got any decent advisory body, that's a concern for me. I think the team is relatively inexperienced in implementation, that could be an issue. However, they have worked at some bigger companies such as Microsoft and Baidu and Tencent, but again, that's no guarantee that they're able to implement. It's a lot more different from working for a company than actually trying to get a project off the ground, as I'm well aware of. So can this team implement? I think there's a chance they can certainly build the platform. They may need more help with actual implementation going forward, but so far, you can't really take away anything from them in terms of their technical ability. The white paper is very detailed, the material's very concise, the ideas are very good. So in that respect, yeah, they're clever, but again, implementation remains a potential issue. And as we can see here, they've only a couple of technical advisors, a couple of market counselors, and a community manager as well. The advisory body's the weakest part of the team, I think, and it could be better. They should maybe think about bringing some bigger names on board. Not for marketing purposes, but just for the previous ICO experience. Interesting note on the FAQ page that they have at number 49, is the team really that strong? It looks good on a website, but when you dig deeper, it's primarily academics. Their answer is lots of our team members are experienced engineer and from Microsoft, Tencent, Baidu, etc. And that indicates to me that they lack a bit of confidence, which isn't really great. We want to see, and if they did lack confidence, they should be bringing people on board that have, maybe more experience in doing this type of thing, rather than just software engineers and the like from well-known companies. As I said, having software engineers is one thing, but having entrepreneurs and people that know how to actually run successful businesses is a completely different kettle of fish. And in fact, it's required for any sort of project that has real ambition. So the partners listed on the site are UCL CBT, University of Oxford, Stanford University, UCLA, Chainted Capital, the University of Edinburgh, and MedEther. I don't know much about MedEther or UCL CBT, but we can see there are 4 large educational establishments there. Now, I don't know whether these are proper partnerships or they've just mentioned them because some of the team members attended those establishments. I guess, you know, having them as proper partners would go some way in being able to recruit the talent that they provide. And Chainted Capital obviously look like they're an investment company that's already got into this ICO at an early stage. So community support for this project is strong. They've covered all the bases. They're on Medium, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Telegram, Twitter, Bitcoin Talk Forum, Reddit, GitHub, and something else as well. Weibo, maybe that looks like. Yes, it's Weibo. So let's take a look. They have 28,052 members on their Telegram. Very impressive. As I said, community support with this project very strong at the moment. Their Twitter, 6,537 followers, which is quite impressive. And they are also on Twitter Audit. I believe they, in fact, there's Medium there, 200 followers on Medium. And there we are, Twitter Audit. They are 94% thumbs up, 762 real Twitter users and 46 fake. So we can say that they are pretty well supported. They do update their social media on a regular basis. As I already explained, they came out quite vocally about the recent scam on Telegram, you know, and have been very efficient since in trying to stop future scams or you know, any other nonsense FUD about the project. So they've done fairly well in that respect, I think. Verdict time again, and let's look at the positives first that I see in this ICO. Now, the first one is the material is technically excellent. The presentation is very, very good. The white paper is a very good read. It explains very well how they're going to try and tackle all these problems that the current technology faces. Number 2, I've noticed that they now have code uploading on GitHub. It goes some way to reassure potential investors that they are a legitimate project and they are actually working on things behind the scenes. Number 3, this is generating big hype. It is now Superman's secret ICO. The community's behind it, has big community support, almost 30,000 Telegram members now, and growing exponentially. There is a support for this project. People can see the value in what it's trying to deliver. Number 4, it solves real problems with the current blockchain technology, so it's not just another band-aid fix. It actually tackles nearly every problem that the blockchain faces, in particular scalability, without compromising security and efficiency as well. So if it can be implemented properly, it could really be a game changer as far as blockchain is concerned. Number 5, it is going to reward the network user. So if you act as a node, as a consensus node on the network, then you will get rewarded accordingly. Number 6, they have a very detailed roadmap and vision of where they're going to be and what they're going to implement moving into the future. Number 7, very innovative ideas. You know, they really have sat down and thought about this at length. You know, how they're going to tackle all these current problems, and you know how they're going to improve on what's already available. Number 8, it's going to make other technology obsolete. If they can implement, it will certainly be blockchain 4.0, and that gives them more of an edge to succeeding. Now, as we know, the latest technology, the best technology, it's not always the one that gets adopted by the most people. You know, look at VHS and Betamax. People could argue that the poorer technology eventually won the marketing battle and won the war in the end for the video cassette. Other technology is very similar, you know, so it's no guarantee that the best technology is always going to be the winner. It might not be adopted, but it certainly has the potential to make the other blockchains obsolete. And number 9, I think it's a good positive. They have a developer focus. Code will be open source, available for most developers to work on, and that's going to be essential to the success of this project going forward. So negatives, yep, tokenomics, as yet unknown. So I put it here as a negative. We want to know before we get involved in any project what exactly we're going to be paying per token, what the market cap is likely to be if this project goes on exchanges, as it certainly will in the future. You know, we need to have that information, and as such, we don't know it yet, so it's you know, a grey area. Number 2, it's going to be difficult for potential investors, contributors to get on the whitelist and participate in the ICO, because this is quite a popular ICO and the whitelist will only be open for a certain amount of time. It's going to be difficult to get involved with this project. Number 3, obviously, the red flags behind this project, the scam in particular, and the fact that the address that's associated with the URL has already been flagged up for being involved in scams is a concern. The you know, the response to the scam was quite good from Seele, but the fact that it happened already, you know, you have to see that as a negative in my opinion. Number 4, I think this could be an issue as well. The team actually lacks depth. Technically, they all look very, very competent, verging on, you know, brilliant, but it lacks depth in terms of the ability to implement and deliver. Number 5, this is a very ambitious project, and as I always say, the more ambitious project has a higher chance of failure. You know, the ambition's one thing, and trying to be the best, and you know, but often projects can bite off more than they can chew, and that might well be the case here with Seele. Only time will tell. So, on to a final verdict now, and I'm going to say the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. This is quite a risky investment in my opinion, but the potential rewards here could be very large indeed. Again, we don't know. We have to see the token economics to come to a full conclusion, and you know, I might revisit this in the future once that information is available. So as such, and due to the scam being perpetuated already, I can only give this 3.5 stars out of 5. I think it's a very, very interesting project. I am going to invest in it. I believe I'm going to take that risk because, as I said, I believe the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. I believe the rewards here could be quite substantial for early investors. So I'm going to attempt to get on the whitelist today. And I'm going to pop money into this if I can, if I'm allowed to do so. As I said, you know, it is risky. It does have the potential to prove a bad investment, but you know, I think it's worth the risk in this case. If it can deliver on what it says it's going to do, then it's certainly worth investing in my opinion. So that is my review of Seele done. I hope you enjoyed it. My German will improve, and I'm sure people will correct me on my pronunciation of it in due course. So thanks for watching, guys. I always appreciate it. Please like, please subscribe. You know, it always helps the channel grow. We're getting towards 6,000 members now, 6,000 subscribers, and that's fantastic. I really appreciate all your views and your comments and everything. I try to respond to as many as I can. So again, thanks for watching. I'll be back with another ICO review tomorrow. It only leaves me to say the usual disclaimer that I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is purely for entertainment purposes. If you're going to invest in ICOs, guys, they pose inherent risk. Always invest what you can afford to lose. And invest wisely, invest with caution at all times, and do your own due diligence, do your own research. It's the most important thing. Don't take people's word for it, and do your research. Okay, guys, thanks, and I'll see you tomorrow.